The old Texas rig lizard has got him a bass. And that's what springtime lizard fishing is all about. Come here, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here, come here. The old green pumpkin lizard. Oh, and he's got birthmarks. Oh, and a tournament that would kill me right there. I always like to grab them when I'm sight fishing. Look at the coloration, check this out. She's got tattoos and scars and broken hearts. Right in the old kisser. The Zoom torrentially wore down lizard. I'm telling you folks, it's the most overlooked spring bait you can throw is a Zoom lizard. And you can see I just kept biting it off. Y'all go give it a shot. I think it's just the time of year where the lizards are most active on the bank and they're getting out on these grass mats and the bass are starting to eat them. I think that the mud puppies, those mud dogs and stuff on the bottom that look like little lizards, they're probably messing with the bass's beds, the bass eggs, so they hate them. I mean, they hate them. You know, and anything that a bass don't like, you can catch him on. And it's so natural you can swim it. What I love about a lizard is you can't hardly fish it wrong. You know, you can throw it, wind it, drop it, flop it, pitch it, roll it. It's just a speed worm with 4 feet, that's all it is. You gotta know when to hold on, know when to fold them. That's some Kenny Ranchers right there, you know, like Rancher's Jolly Sauce. When you talk about a fish spawning in Garden particular area, there is a lot of good knowledge to be taken by studying that fish, knowing when he's catchable and when he's not. We call it reading the fish. The fish's demeanor and the way he acts to you will tell you whether or not most time you can catch that fish. Some of the key things to look for, keeping it pretty simple, is when he spooks, how long does it take him to come back? 90% of the time when you see one on bed and you throw, yeah, he's gonna leave. How long does it take him to come back? And when he comes back, does he act protective of the area he left from, or is he just circling through and burning out? That's gonna tell you how long it's gonna take you to work him. Most of the time, if he's not showing any interest in guarding that or showing you any interest, you're gonna have a lot harder time getting him to bite. It's gonna take more time. I'm not saying you can't get him to bite, it takes more time. If you go by a fish and you pitch to him and he don't move, we call that growling at the trolling motor, where he just sits there and looks at you, that fish is not gonna take you long to catch. Fish that are cruising can always be caught. It's a matter of how much time you're willing to invest. But watch the fish, see if he's protected. Is he dominant? Does he act very skittish in an area? Does he protect one spot? Does he constantly have a habit of going to one area and checking a spot? Because that's going to tell you that's the key spot to put your bait. And I'm watching that fish there, and that's what I'm doing. I'm studying him, like, where's his most guarded spot? That's right in front of one little piece of grass. Every time I get it there, he gets real nervous. So I can kind of tell that's his hot spot. So you try to repeat that cast. That's what I'm doing, to repeat it, and then I'll shake it. I get him to spin on it, and I'll shake it a little bit. Let him look at it again. Understanding and spending time doing it is the key to being successful at sight fishing. And I mean, there's just some fish that you see, they're uncatchable in the time frame that you have to present the bait. So you just leave them. That's the key, knowing when to hold them and when to fold them. Because now I'm telling you, I'm crazy, because every now and then it gets to be personal, and I just can't hardly leave one alone. Like, once it gets personal, it's on, and I'm like, I'm gonna stay there. And that's never good when you and the fish start having an intimate relationship and you're angered. Whew, you're gonna burn the clock down trying to catch him. And that's just what happens with me. I just get personal. I'm like, no. And I've seen big ones before that I just left. I'm like, he might could be caught, but it may take 4 hours. And in my situation, most time, I don't have that kind of time. Yeah, because people are like, well, I don't want to catch them off bed. Then you shouldn't go in the month of March and April, because they're bedding somewhere. You might not know that you caught him off bed. There's a really good chance if you caught him less than 4 or 5 foot, he was bedding. You just can't see him, so it's no different. There ain't no secret that they bed deep, shallow. Like, this fish is not deep at all, but the ones I caught at Santee, most of them fish I caught, you couldn't even see. I just blind casting out around there, knowing that there's that many fish bedding in the area. I'm thinking there's got to be a higher percentage of fish out here that you can't see. And guess what? There was. I mean, if you're fishing in the spring, you throw by a stump, your line jumps and he swims off and you jerk and miss, you throw back over and he swims off again, jerks, miss, very good chance he's on bed, whether you can see him or not. I think when people understand that big fish don't all bed at one time, even a big bass, they bed, they'll get off the bed, they'll lay some of their eggs and they'll go back out. They'll come back, lay some of their eggs and go back out. Her eggs are not ready at all times. So like if you catch one off the bed, she might go down there and bed again in 2 days. So even if you remove them from that area, they're still going to bed. So I know what people say, I don't want to catch them off bed. Well, I do. Some people like Captain Crunch, some people don't. But as long as they're still here bedding, and it's all in how you do it. I don't believe in snagging them. I don't believe in doing all that. I mean, I don't believe in catching a whole bunch of them and holding them all day, taking them to your buddies and showing 10 pictures of them. You know, if you catch them, be respectful, get them back in a timely manner. I think that's just, and I think guys have gotten much better at that. That's why you see sight fishing still so good every spring. And they're still here. I mean, we ain't went 50 yards and we just keep seeing one right after another. Here he comes. He got it. Yep, I got him. Not a bad male either. I mean, I messed around with him. I had to get the bait where he wanted it. You know, like sometimes they don't want it on the bottom. Sometimes they might want it a little higher up in the water column. You don't never know. But as you can tell, smoked it right in the mouth. It's a zoom beat down. It's this little 3.5 inch bait. And that is fun. So remember something, people. When you're sight fishing, sometimes you gotta hit them with a 1-2 punch. I cast a lizard around in the spring, why? Because I love it. Logs and stumps. I'm reeling, stopping, reeling, stopping. If I see one, he locks on a bed, I may pick up a smaller bait like a Z-crawl with not as much plastic, not as much for him to grab. Then if he gets finicky, he seems to be harder to catch, I'll reach for a drop shot, a wacky worm, something a lot smaller. You always have to keep trying. When you get locked on a fish, the worst thing you can do is just sit there and just keep throwing and throwing and throwing with the same bait. Change it up. Like if you get a big one and he won't do what you want him to do, take a big glide bait. Take like the Storm Arashi glide bait and glide it over him a few times and see if you can freak him out and then throw back to him. So sight fishing is more about the observation of the bass than it is about the presentation of the lure sometimes. The bass will tell you what he wants, and it won't be via text, and it won't be on Snapchat. You just have to fish for him and watch his demeanor, watch how he reacts, what he wants to guard, where is his home. Sometimes you go, people think of sight fishing or springtime fishing, they think these giant beds with these big, I call them tombstones laying in them. Most of the time that's not the case. It can be a much smaller area this big that he's protected. That's the key to his bed. So always watch the place that he comes back to or he crosses the most. There's a common denominator in the circle that he's swimming. When you figure that out, get in the center of the circle and do your work. And remember, turn him back as quick as you can and live to do it again. Out of here.